here, you ever notice that the information that we're being fed doesn't always add up to the truth? Do you ever look out your window at night when the rain's falling down? You ever look down the street and wonder what is going on around you? Do you ever look out at night and ask yourself, is this all that I am? Where am I? What am I? Is this all there is? Is this real life? As technology continues to bring us closer together, it also tears us further apart. We watch the skies and look at the planet around us and its natural beauty as it continues to march forward on and on and on, unending, unceasing, unwavering. And yet our world, everything that we've built, crumbles around us. We wonder, is this it? Is there more? There's got to be. We can search. We want to learn. We want to understand. We want to see all that we can see, know all that we can know. We want to look out there. We want to peek behind the veil. We want to ask the questions that nobody will answer. We want to light those fires, the sparks that ignite a curiosity in us. And we ask ourselves, what is out beyond all of that? Beyond the edge of reality. Good evening, folks. How y'all doing? It's Kaiser, and it's time for another Edge of Reality. It is our regular Wednesday show. We are going live, and we are talking about the weird, the wonderful, the strange, and the outright outlandish. And believe me, this week has definitely been a little bit on the weird side. It's been weird. I can't stress how that word I can't stress that word enough. I got up this week and I never expected to see this trending anywhere. So this is definitely going to be a bit of a weird dive, and I want everybody to please definitely follow me through this one. Take it with a grain of salt, and let's see where this goes. Trying to finish pinning a couple of quick things there. And gonna quickly go around and say hi to everybody. See who all's here. Looks like MG Law. Good to see you, buddy. First, awesome. Jiminy the Witch, been a long time. Haven't seen you around very long, but hey, it's great to see you back. Good to see you, Jiminy. Oh, I'm second then. Got it. And Murph's Turf. Always a pleasure, Murph. Jason J. Hello, buddy. Good to see you. Breaking: a Texas woman has been arrested for threatening to off a judge overseeing that guy's DC case. Interesting. That sounds like quite the problematic situation to be in there. Digger 420, how you doing, Digger? AP, awesome to see you. And Miami Spice, hi Kaiser Pineapple, the quote boss is calling. I gotta run. Have a great show. Thank you so much for dropping in, Miami Spice. And D what? Hello. And we have I don't believe I've seen you in my chat before. How you doing, Genitals? Excellent. And Sea Soldier, hello. I think you're also new as well. I haven't seen you around. Good to see you. Always love seeing new people in the chat. Always love seeing new folks drop in and see what is going on. Yeah, it's a good time. So this is definitely my favorite show to do of the week. Absolutely. I love doing my daily stuff, and I do love my and doing Real Talk Live, but I got to be honest, this is where the fun is at as far as I'm concerned. All right. Sea Soldier saying I'm a lurker, lol. Well, hey, I'm glad you said something, and hey, feel free to chime in at any point and get in time. I say we always love hearing from everybody. All right. And wow, we are already off to a banging start here. Already 14 of you showing up over here on the tubes, and let's see, over on Rumble I got at least I see 2 watching right now. Most awesome. Everybody, please definitely do me a favor, since we're getting started this evening. Please definitely go down there and hit that like button because we need to punch up the algorithm on this thing and get some likes on this video. And also, if you're not already subscribed to me, and say, please definitely do subscribe. I do this show every Wednesday. We dive into the weird, the strange, the a bit difficult to understand, and the wonderfully odd over here on Wednesdays. This is what Edge of Reality is all about. And, well, and say for anybody out there, say just so to give you about a little bit of an update. So I have been keeping track, and some of you may or may not know that I am this close to being monetized on YouTube. And so as of earlier today, I did check my stats. I am just shy of 400 watch hours. Just shy of 400 watch hours from being monetized. So we have been doing amazing things, but we've just got a little bit more to go. In the meantime, so if you want to go ahead and, send anything into the chat, please feel free to ask questions. Let me know and also, if you have a specific question that you want to ask, definitely put the question mark emoji in your chat, and I will be sure to tag that. So that way, if I miss it, I can go back and, find that really quickly. And, I want to definitely be able to answer any questions you guys have on this. And, hey, it's going to be a fun time. Also, just to kind of give everybody a heads up, because finally my good friend Shizzy Wiznut, he finally bugged me enough that I finally went ahead and added a Cash App button. So even despite all the, like how great it is that I can, receive stuff over on, receive donations over on Rumble, I do know that they still take a little bit of a cut. And I'll say, even after monetization on YouTube does happen, I say they take like 50% of anything. But if you ever want to make a donation and you ever want to make sure that you cut out the middleman, go up there to my YouTube link, go to my main YouTube page. There's a link like right underneath my name, and you can see it says Cash App, and you can make a donation. It is not required. I am not trying to push this. I'm just mentioning it because it's been mentioned a time or two. People have asked me, hey, where can I send stuff to you at? So I finally put this in place so that way I can kind of try and help make that a little easier for everybody. And I'm just going to address it the one time. I'm not going to push it. I'm not going to try and shove that everyone's way. So, all right, there we go. And Sean D. Sarcasm, what are you doing? I was like, what are you doing there, buddy? Saying, let's start the show. Bobby Baloney, I saw you drop in too. Excellent. Checking your stats. What's your KD ratio? Lamau. Oh, man. Digger says, congrats, I'll be falling asleep to you tonight then. Oh, I don't know. You may not fall asleep much with this subject matter. It's a bit weird. Entertain me, Kaiser. How dare you tell people to donate, Kaiser? You're the worst. Yeah, I know. It is what it is. I'm just gonna, and look, again, I'm not gonna push it. I'm not gonna be pushy about it or anything. I am very much appreciative if you guys decide to do so, but there's no requirement. So, and Spirit Star over on Rumble saying, "'Tis I, a random internet person." Excellent, good to see you, Spirit Star, and say definitely a regular coming over to my Rumble, and fantastic to see you. All right, and let's see. So, I guess with all that out of the way, no further ado, let's go ahead and start to dig into this whole weird and wild subject. So real quick, I am going to grab one thing over on my other screen. Okay, get rid of those. Okay. That way I have that over there. All right. Well, so let's kind of go back. Let's just kind of rewind things a little bit. Let's talk about a strange thing that happened a while back. So let's see. I'm grabbing a couple of additional news stories and things here. It's really been catching on like wildfire, and it's been going around. So, all right. Let's see there. All right, I'm trying to find the exact one. All right. All right. Okay. So I figured let's go ahead and kind of get everybody up to speed with kind of what happened here with MH370. So, Malaysian Airlines MH370 has been in the news again. Now, not in the typical news. It's been kind of odd that it's come up in Twitter, of all places, or X, whatever it is this week. Let me see here. All right. So here is a news broadcast as from, let's see, 9 years ago. Hard to believe this has been 9 years since this happened. Okay. There we go. So there, that's a little bit better. So this was the breaking news story that happened 9 years ago. Back on back in, I believe it was 2014. Yeah. 2014, whenever this actually happened. This was on March 8th, 2014, when this breaking news story
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing. At this hour, a desperate search is underway for MH Flight 370, which departed Kuala Lumpur at 12:41 a.m. local time and was due to land in Beijing at 6:30 a.m. Air traffic control lost contact with the plane about 2 hours after takeoff. Whether the disappearance is due to mechanical problems, pilot error, or even terrorism is yet to be determined. ABC's Gloria Riviere is at the Beijing airport with the latest.
Cynthia, here at Beijing's International Airport, it was more than 4 hours before officials announced that anyone awaiting word on Flight 370 should head back to Beijing to meet with representatives from Malaysia Airlines. We saw many Chinese police here dispatched to keep control, as so many wanted answers when there were none. The Boeing 777 aircraft, similar to the one pictured here, was carrying 239 people from Malaysia's capital to Beijing.
Real quick there, I just got to pause the video because algorithm and stuff. So, by the way, cool gamer, how you doing? Good to see you. French documentary about MH370 definitely shows the U.S. military shot it down. I'm not familiar with that one, but you know, it's entirely possible. Let's see. Sean says, I definitely think Iran hijacked it. There is some very interesting things that kind of go hand in hand with this one. I think that the more plausible explanation, in my opinion, is kind of at least the one that I believe is kind of most widely accepted. But there's still a lot of mystery surrounding this one, so I'm just gonna we'll parse it out as we go. Definitely.
Chinese state media reports radar contact with the plane was lost in Vietnamese airspace. The airline confirms 4 Americans on board, one of them a child. In total, there were 14 different nationalities on the flight. As the day wore on, families in tears, lacking information. The Beijing-bound flight departed Kuala Lumpur and was scheduled to land in Beijing at 6:30 a.m. It went missing 2 hours into the flight. At the airport in Beijing, the arrivals board listed the flight as delayed.
This is very rare. For an airplane to disappear is not normal. I think we have, at this hour, every reason to expect that this is not going to be a good outcome. A big airplane like this, losing radar contact, it usually ends up in tragedy. It would be over water for most of its trip. So there's a chance that this aircraft went down in the water, which is going to make the rescue or make the recovery efforts that much harder.
Malaysian Airlines announced the tragedy on its Facebook page. The airline's CEO saying, quote, "We deeply regret that we have lost all contact with flight MH370. This type of jet, the Boeing 777, has a nearly spotless safety record since it began flying in 1995.
Yeah, General says, I can't believe it's already been 9 years. Me either, because I remember this happening like right before right before I got married. This was a wild one. So when I was thinking about this just the other day and I saw all this come up, I was like, man, how long has it been? And I was like, oh geez.
Though last summer, it was an Asiana Airlines Boeing 777 that crashed while landing in San Francisco, killing 3 passengers. For Nightline, Gloria Riviera, ABC News, Beijing.
Our thanks to Gloria Riviera. Because Flight 370 was a Boeing aircraft, it is likely that American aviation authorities and the manufacturer will be involved in some way in the investigation going forward. ABC News will, of course, stay on this developing story and keep you updated with all the latest.
So that was 9 years ago when the plane disappeared, and that was kind of where things started to. That's kind of where things started from. So let's see. All right, reject all, save exit. Okay. There we go. So to kind of additionally give us a little bit more information, there is a long there's actually a very long it's about 30 minutes long video from Infographics channel explaining what happened to MH370, or at least kind of the minute by minute, and kind of the talking about the overall search efforts as they went. So I think we can go ahead and show this one, because we're going to be adding a little bit more context and information to everything and adding to it. And I think that, it definitely is going to fall under the, I was like, this is, in my opinion, this is going to fall under fair use as far as I'm concerned. But, yeah, there's a lot of things here. So I will kind of, we'll play it by ear. Hopefully things are okay with the stream, but if not, please definitely go ahead and have the Rumble stream set up on another window, so that way you can switch over if need be, just to be on the safe side. YouTube is YouTube. Let's see. Yeah, there's an island something, yeah, that apparently they, let's see. Iran was most likely trying to fly that plane into the base. Okay. Yeah, so there's a lot of questions with this one. All right. I'm going to try and bump the speed on this one up just a nudge. Okay. I know this is going to be probably a little on the dry side, but we're going to try and watch this, and we're going to kind of go through everything as we go. So this will kind of give us an understanding of what happened and go through the information as it was. And actually, while I'm at it, I forgot something. There we go. All right. Let's see what, let's watch this, try and watch these. This guy goes pretty in-depth.
The story of Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 is full of mystery. On March 8, 2014, the Boeing 777 left Kuala Lumpur for Beijing. In the coming hours, there would be odd occurrences, deception, and the disappearance of 227 passengers and 12 crew members. The plane would vanish with only ghost signals and incomplete data for investigators to follow. For almost 3 years, search missions scoured the waters and seafloor of the Indian Ocean without locating the missing plane. Now, new evidence and theories could shed some light on what actually happened to Flight 370 and the 239 souls on board. In order to understand what happened and analyze new evidence, we need to go back to the beginning, back to the very moment that Flight 370 rose into the air and set an erratic course that would lead it to mysteriously vanishing. March 8, 2014, 12:41 a.m., 2 hours before Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 goes missing. Flight attendants walk down the carpeted aisle of the Boeing 777-200ER, ensuring that everyone has their seatbelts fastened in preparation for takeoff. Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah does his final pre-flight checks and confirms the airliner is ready to go with his first officer, Farik Abdul Hamid. The flight tower radios the pilots that they're clear for takeoff. Captain Zahari throttles up the engines and the plane lurches forward. The craft picks up speed as it cruises down the runway, pushing passengers back into their seats. It's extremely early in the morning, so most of the passengers are already fast asleep. A baby coos from its mother's lap as several individuals look out the windows at the lights of the airport flashing by. Flight 370 lifts off from the runway and ascends into the air. Condensation runs along the window as people close their shades and prepare for the approximately 6-hour flight to Beijing. What no one knows is that as night gives way to dawn, every single person aboard Flight 370 will go missing. 1:01 a.m., 1 hour and 40 minutes before Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 goes missing. The aircraft reaches a cruising altitude of 35,000 feet or 10,700 meters. The fasten seatbelt sign is turned off and the flight crew begins preparing snacks, drinks, and meals for the passengers. It's an overnight flight, so cabin duty should be relatively light. Some passengers stand up and stretch on the way to the bathroom. The faces of businessmen from Beijing are illuminated by their laptop screens. The snoring of sleeping passengers can be heard, complementing the roar of the plane's engines. On the ground, radar stations pick up Flight 370's signal. Everything is normal. In a little while, Flight 370 will leave Malaysian airspace and cross into Vietnam. The early hours of this morning seem like any other day. 1:07 a.m., 1 hour and 33 minutes before Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 goes missing. The Malaysian flight tower receives data from Flight 370's aircraft communication addressing and reporting system. This communications array periodically transmits data about the plane and the status of several key systems on board. This will be the last time ACARS communicates with traffic control. The tower won't notice it for 30 more minutes, but someone has turned off the ACAR system. Someone who knew exactly what they were doing and had a premeditated plan to fly the aircraft off course on some unknown route for some unknown reason.
Okay, that is a very important thing to note right there, is that the plane, somebody turned off, like, there's a system that is on board this aircraft that it is pretty much always on. It can be turned off, and it's got a bunch of redundancies in that it should not ever be shut off. For this to be turned off, it has to be manually shut off. But this is the system that basically helps track the flight as it's in the air. That's a serious problem. And it definitely seems to indicate foul play of some kind. What the exact level of that is hard to say, but yeah, Murph's Turf asks, could it have failed? It is entirely possible. However, the way that the flight data has kind of stacked up, the actual information, that the way that as I've read it from a lot of the NTSB information that has come out of this system had to have, the way that this basically happened, the way that this particular incident was, it appears that this was intentionally turned off. Let's see, Kaiser, was it done from on the plane or off, or do we know? Somebody on board the flight had to turn it off. And the only place that is really accessible is from the cockpit. Now, that brings up a very specific question in that, okay, so only one person, or so that, this the system is only accessible in the cockpit. It is able to be switched off only from there, but it has a number of redundancies that prevent it from being it has a number of redundancies from being accidentally switched off, or if it fails, it usually throws a fault in the system because it's very, very important. There's no way you switch this thing off and that there's not a system that doesn't immediately alert you to this. So, yeah. There's no way the government doesn't know where it is. Well, we're going to talk about that. I'm not so sure, but at the same time, we'll kind of parse this out. AP says North Vietnamese took out the plane. They're still fighting for a unified North and South Vietnam. There's a lot of possibilities. There's a lot of unanswered questions with this one. I really honestly don't know the answer, and that's why we're here, because this is a mystery. Anyway.
With Flight 370's aircraft communication addressing and reporting system turned off, the radar stations in the area no longer receive telemetry from the plane. No one on the ground knows the system has been turned off at this point in time, as there's no reason to expect anything to be wrong. However, something strange is happening aboard Flight 370. Whether ground crews are aware of it or not, it's not clear if either the pilots are aware that the ACAR system has been turned off, or if one of them is the perpetrator. But this will be the first of many peculiar events that will happen over the next several hours. 1:19 a.m., 1 hour and 20 minutes before Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 goes missing. Malaysian traffic controllers receive a message from the cockpit of Flight 370. It's believed to be First Officer Farik Abdul Hamid on headset. He does not sound agitated, and he gives no indication that there is anything wrong, even though the ACARs aboard the plane is off. This does not mean that Farik is the one who tampered with the system, or that he's even aware that something is wrong, but a series of bizarre events begin after the message is sent. The voice finishes relaying a quick message and ends with "Alright, good night," indicating that he's signing off just before entering Vietnamese airspace. Traffic control thinks nothing of the message, as "good night" is often used by pilots to signal the handing over of communications from one airspace to another. The phrase is just a pleasantry that traffic controllers hear hundreds of times a week as planes leave their airspace. However, this time, "good night" are the last words anyone will ever hear from the crew and passengers aboard Flight 370. 1:21 a.m. Just as Flight 370 crosses into Vietnamese airspace over the South China Sea, someone in the cockpit flips a switch. The plane's transponder switches off. This is much more noticeable than when the aircraft communication addressing and reporting system was shut down, as the transponder constantly pings radar stations with the flight number, altitude, speed, and heading of the plane. The transponder is also a lot less complicated than turning off the ACAR system. Without the transponder on, the massive 777 is an unknown blip on the radar. Traffic controllers scan their radar screens and see dozens of little dots. However, one catches their eye. It has no flight number and isn't sending any relevant data. They keep a close eye on the aircraft to try to figure out what it is and why it isn't relaying any information. No one is overly concerned at this point. They just know something odd is happening. A soldier conducting radar surveillance at a military base in Thailand spots the blip on his screen. There's an unidentified aircraft approaching the base. There are no covert missions scheduled for that night, so this is a cause for concern. He informed.
Okay, so that's another thing we need to make note of. Somebody in the cockpit turned off the transponder for the plane. So now we have the ACARS system, which should be a very redundancy-proof system that has been what it seems to be deliberately turned off. Now we have the transponder, a completely separate system that helps track the telemetry data, as well as helps to ACARS tracks telemetry, but this helps kind of identify the plane on radar. That system is now turned off. So you have two very, very, very integrated systems that have a lot of redundancy, and they are turned off in flight after the plane leaves and is entering a different airspace.
Forms his CO, and they keep tabs on the unidentified aircraft, sometime between 1:21 a.m. and 1:28 a.m. No one knows at this moment in time that the unknown aircraft showing up on the radar across Thailand, Vietnam, and Malaysia is Flight 370. Its transponder is still off. However, the unknown object suddenly begins to change course. A Thai radar station in the southern Surat Thani province records that the plane makes a U-turn and is now flying in the opposite direction than it had been traveling in moments before. At this point, there is no reason for anyone to suspect that Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 is the unknown craft on their screens, or that any action should be taken. This uncertainty will result in precious time being lost during the early stages of the search for the missing airliner. 1:30 a.m. Suddenly, the blip from the unknown aircraft disappears from the air traffic controller's radar in Sabang, outside of Kuala Lumpur. It has vanished somewhere over the Gulf of Thailand. The last known coordinates of the plane are 065515 north and 1033443 east. It's not clear what has happened exactly, but it appears the SATCOM system has been tampered with. 1:37 a.m. Malaysian military and civilian flight radar start picking up the unknown aircraft again. Its course has been altered, and the plane is now flying southwest over the Malay Peninsula before turning northwest over the Strait of Malacca. Traffic control in Malaysia realizes that the ACARS reading from Flight 370 has not been sent and is overdue. It was supposed to be transmitted 30 minutes after the previous communication was sent at 1:07 a.m. Since this is an automated system, the traffic controllers know something is wrong. It's at this point they realize the unknown plane they've been tracking could very well be Flight 370.
Okay, real quick. I just got to make, because I've seen this pop up a number of different times in the chat. So, okay. Digger says, I thought they landed on a U.S. base. Never heard of any other country's base. Okay. We do know that debris from MH370 has been recovered. Crash debris from MH370 has been recovered. They just have never found the entire wreck. No, this plane did not land. I can tell you with definitive understanding that this plane did not land. I'm just saying.
There is no way to confirm the suspicion without reaching out to multiple other agencies and trying to contact the plane. In hindsight, investigators divulged that if the plane were to be hijacked or a target for terrorist activity, turning off the ACARS would be an important part of their plans. Without ACARS data being transmitted, no anomalies in the aircraft systems could be detected from the ground. The transponder being switched off is much more noticeable, but the ACARS data would have provided traffic control or anyone tracking the plane with a lot more information on what was actually happening to the aircraft at the time. 2:15 a.m., 25 minutes before Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 goes missing. Even though several civilian Malaysian radar stations are no longer tracking the unknown plane, military radar stations still have the aircraft on their screens. As it flies over the Strait of Malacca, the plane passes over the island of Pulau Perak. It continues on a westerly direction, hundreds of miles off course. As the plane continues into the Indian Ocean, fewer and fewer radar stations can track it, until only a handful still have the unknown blip on their screens. 2:22 a.m., 18 minutes before Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 goes missing. A Malaysian military radar station that's been following the aircraft's movements as it continued west loses contact over the Andaman Sea. This will be the last time anyone sees the aircraft on their radar. However, it will still be 18 more minutes before Malaysia Airlines acknowledges that Flight 370 is missing. It's not clear what the airline does during the realization that Flight 370's ACARS failed to send data, the loss of telemetry with the aircraft, and the eventual disappearance of it from radar. But it is likely that traffic controllers and their superiors had been going into damage control mode to try to keep things quiet until they had a better handle on the situation. March 8th, 2014, 2:40 a.m. Air traffic controllers officially tell Malaysia Airlines that Flight 370 has disappeared. The airline scrambles all of its resources to try to locate the plane. They reach out to agencies and organizations across the region and contact the Malaysian military for help finding their missing plane. The Malaysian military hands over all raw radar data they have to U.S. and British officials to help aid in the search and recovery of the lost plane. The race to figure.
Okay, so that is another thing we need to make a very specific note of. That Malaysian officials suddenly go, hey, we've got a situation. We've got a plane in the air. We don't know where it is. It's overdue, and it appears that it's gone off course. ACARS is lost. We've got no ping off of the the transponder, but we have an unknown radar blip that appears to be about this. I mean, the radar blip about the size of a Boeing 777 that is going way off course. So they believe at this point that the plane is still in the air, and they're already beginning to launch, efforts to try and get this thing figured out. So, yeah. And what's going on, Rose? I say, hi, y'all. Sorry, I thought you said 8:30 or 9, Kaiser. Sorry, I'm late. Oh, yeah, we started at 9. Sorry about that. It was a little bit of a scramble to get everything set up, but that was kind of my own fault, so. And Jude Curio, hey, how you doing, Jude? Good to see you. I say earlier to what I said, AP said it landed just in multiple places. Digger says, okay, I thought there was a cell phone data showing otherwise. I might have been mixing two stories together. I do that. Okay. There is some additional data. It's not cell phone data, but we'll talk about that. It'll be covered in this. Trust me.
Figure out where the Boeing 777 has gone is on. Ships and aircraft are sent to the last known location of Flight 370 in the Andaman Sea. For the next hour, the preliminary search for Flight 370 begins. Military analysts and traffic controllers send messages on every possible communications channel to try to reach the missing aircraft. Malaysia Airlines calls upon traffic controllers in Vietnam, Thailand, and other parts of Malaysia to try to make sense of the situation. Information is gathered that paints an unusual picture of events. Nothing makes sense, and no one can figure out what has happened to the missing aircraft. The rest of the world has yet to be informed that Flight 370 and its 239 passengers and crew will not be landing on time. After just over an hour has passed, and it's clear the plane won't be located using conventional means, Malaysia Airlines takes things to the next level. 3:45 a.m. 1 hour and 5 minutes after Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 goes missing. A code red is issued by Malaysia Airlines to every agency that might be able to help locate the missing plane. Emergency response plans are enacted and search missions are launched. When the airline is pushed to explain why they waited over an hour to issue such an order, they tell the authorities that they were still trying to locate the plane and ensure it was actually missing. It's unclear if Malaysia Airlines had ulterior motives or if it was just incompetence that led to the slow sharing of information with other organizations. But either way, an emergency is eventually declared. For the next several hours, search and rescue missions are launched. Multiple organizations sift through the data to extrapolate where the plane might have gone. Salvage teams prepare for the worst. 6:30 a.m. 3 hours and 50 minutes after Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 goes missing. Passengers in Beijing wait for their plane to reach the gate. Flight 370 is displayed on the arrival side, but the plane has yet to arrive. Disgruntled travelers wait for an announcement as to where their plane is and what's causing the delay. So far, Malaysia Airlines has not updated anyone about the loss of the aircraft, except for agencies and organizations that are directly involved in locating the plane. 7:24 a.m. There's still no sign of Flight 370 or any indication of what went wrong. Families are worried about their loved ones who should have landed and checked in an hour ago. The airline has received inquiries but remains silent until now. A public announcement is posted on the Malaysia Airlines Facebook page. When this happens, there's mass panic and confusion amongst friends and family members who had people on board the flight. The international community becomes aware of the search for the missing plane. Everyone waits with bated breath to learn more about the tragedy and mysterious circumstances under which Flight 370 disappeared. 8:11 a.m. 5 hours and 31 minutes after Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 goes missing. Something very strange happens. A satellite orbiting the Earth attempts a handshake or electronic connection with a plane passing below it. The satellite logs the attempted connection to the plane and relays the information to a computer database. The handshake isn't completed due to the fact that the communication systems aboard Flight 370 are offline. However, once this data comes to light, it provides a vital clue to the search and rescue parties trying to locate the aircraft. The aircraft is still in flight. Based on where the satellite is located and a number of other factors, the location of Flight 370 can be narrowed down to 2 different locations. However, since the plane is clearly still operational, the final destination of where the aircraft will touch down will need to be extrapolated. The raw satellite data is enough to confirm the plane the satellite attempted to connect with was Flight 370, which is then corroborated by the United States National Transportation Safety Board, the Federal Aviation Administration, and Britain's Air Accidents Investigation Branch. With the little information that was available at the beginning of the emergency, the initial search for Flight 370 had begun in the South China Sea. As more information comes to light, such as where the transponder had been switched off, and the resulting discovery that the unidentified plane that radar stations had been tracking all morning was in fact Flight 370, the search teams are sent off to the Strait of Malacca and Andaman Sea. However, it isn't until satellite data from the attempted handshake is discovered that search efforts are deployed in more promising areas. March 15, 2014, 7 days after Flight 370 goes missing. The data collected by the satellite on the morning of the disappearance has finally been analyzed. All relevant organizations are notified, and the search for Flight 370 shifts to new locations. No one can be exactly sure of the location of the plane when the satellite attempted its handshake, but analysts now believe that Flight 370 could have only been on 2 possible trajectories. A series of search missions are launched into the Indian Ocean to the southwest of Australia, following the southern route the plane might have taken. Another group searches Southeast Asia, Western China, and Central Asia following the northern arc. Locating a downed plane on land can be difficult, but it's much easier than locating an aircraft on the bottom of the ocean. After days of searching, no trace of any downed aircraft can be found along the northern arc. March 24th, 2014.
Okay, so here we kind of, here's kind of where we're at there. So the plane is officially missing. The plane somewhere over the, as they said, the Strait of Malacca, which is pretty much in this general area right here. Lots of open ocean. That's where they're looking. Well, turns out I believe that they ends up having to look in another place. There's a lot to unpack here. The satellite handshakes are going to be are crucial to understanding where this thing showed up and where it kind of went missing. And Ghostery Anonymous, good to see you. I don't believe we've ever seen you on the channel before. MH370 was mistakenly shot down, maybe? Yes, I'll be completely honest with you. I have not seen enough compelling data to suggest that it was shot down, but maybe they'll get into that. Wink. Meanwhile, over here on Rumble, Spirit Star 005 says secret undersea base landing if we want to get silly. Yeah, very possibly. Okay, Bobby Maloney says, and you know how damn near impossible it was to find a sub that got crushed like a toothpaste tube. Yeah. Yeah. And they really, that was a hard one to find. I mean, they had a hard time finding, they had a hard time finding the Ocean Gate Titan sub, even though they knew exactly where the ship it launched from was. So they already had a very tight little search window area that they could find it in. MH370, they have nowhere to really kind of guess at other than just a very wide area of literally hundreds of thousands of square miles. I remember how hard it was for them to find, the Ocean Gate Titan, and they knew exactly where the ship it launched from was. That's something worth note. All right, and see. Bobby says, so far I'm totally sure it got blasted by the U.S. Again, not sure. Rose RNC LNC says, RNC Inc. Sorry. Says it could have been shot down by accident. I mean, some countries test fired missiles a lot. General says they found it right where it was supposed to be. Well, yeah, I mean, Bobby says if we blast it, we aren't going to admit it to obliterating a commercial flight full of civilians. No, but I think that given that how far off course this thing was, something had to have been going on. Now, at that point, you have to weigh the option. 230 some passengers, or however many possibly thousands of people that could be killed if this thing is turned into and used as a weapon. Just saying.
16 days after Flight 370 goes missing. After further analysis of the satellite data by the satellite's parent company, Inmarsat, and the UK Air Accidents Investigation Branch, it's determined that the southern arc is the most likely path that Flight 370 took, and the plane must have crashed in a remote part of the Indian Ocean. Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak announces it's highly unlikely that anyone who was aboard the plane could still be alive. The hopes of hundreds of families and friends are shattered. However, the crusade to figure out what happened and to provide answers is not over yet. April 6, 2014, 30 days after Flight 370 went missing. An Australian ship cruises through the waters of the Indian Ocean. They've been searching for any signs of Flight 370 for 2 weeks. Suddenly, the equipment on the vessel detects several acoustic pings that could possibly be from the black box or flight recorder aboard the missing Boeing 777. These signals are coming from below the waters, around 1,200 miles or 2,000 kilometers northwest of Perth, Australia. It's impossible to tell exactly where the signals are coming from, but it allows the search teams to narrow down the locations they're looking at. Around this time, new data from Inmarsat comes out that a satellite initiated another handshake with Flight 370 around 8:19 a.m. on March 8th. The second handshake is consistent with the location where the acoustic pings are being picked up by the Australian vessel. Unfortunately, by this point, the batteries within the black box are likely on their last legs. It'll only be a matter of time before the batteries go dead and the signal is lost. Even after the signal is gone, robotic submarines are deployed to the region to scour the ocean floor for any signs of wreckage. Unfortunately, the pings had been identified over a large area, and there's no way to pinpoint the exact location. The subs continue to search underwater, even though the search area is vast. The search yields no results. The disappointment is exacerbated by the fact that tests run after the fact find that a faulty wire in the acoustic equipment aboard the ship might have been what was producing the pings. July 29, 2015, 1 year and 5 months after Flight 370 goes missing. A man walks along the beach of the French island of Réunion. He spots debris washed up on the shore. This is not unusual, as the currents running through the Indian Ocean often bring garbage adrift in the ocean to the island. However, this is different. It looks like a piece of an airplane. The man calls to others in the area and they bring the salvaged debris to the local authorities. It's identified as the right-wing flaperon of a Boeing 777. Upon further inspection by experts, it's identified as being a piece of Flight 370. The debris washed up 2,300 miles, or about 3,700 kilometers, from where the search for the missing aircraft is being conducted in the Indian Ocean. Over the next year, 26 more pieces of debris are discovered on beaches in Tanzania, Mozambique, South Africa, Madagascar, and Mauritius. The finders all claim that they're part of Flight 370, however, only 3 can be positively identified as belonging to the missing aircraft. While 17 are thought to be from Flight 370, 2 pieces seem to have come from the cabin interior, suggesting the aircraft broke apart either before or when the plane crashed into the ocean. When experts further examine the flap found in Réunion, they determined it does not appear the plane was guided into the ocean using a controlled descent. Therefore, the only other option is that Flight 370 slammed into the dark waters of the ocean and sunk to the bottom. The information gathered from confirmed debris of the aircraft allows the search area to be narrowed down even further, as some parts of the Indian Ocean do not have the currents to carry wreckage all the way to Africa. January 2017, 2 years and 10 months after Flight 370 goes missing. The Malaysian, Australian, and Chinese governments announced they will be calling off the search for Flight 370. After almost 3 years of hunting, they have come up with no tangible evidence as to where the aircraft could be. The Indian Ocean is vast. The seafloor can reach depths exceeding 5,000 meters, or 16,404 feet. An American company called Ocean Infinity receives the go-ahead from the Malaysian government to continue the search, but in May 2017, the Malaysian Transport Ministry officially decides it's time to end all search efforts. July 2018, 3 years and 4 months after Flight 370 goes missing. The Malaysian government releases its final report on Flight 370 and its disappearance. Investigations find that what happened likely wasn't the result of mechanical failure, as both the ACARS and transponder systems would not have gone down. Then there's the fact that the erratic flight path almost certainly needed to be carried out through manual inputs by a pilot. However, no clear reason is given as to why Flight 370 disappeared, or where the aircraft is located. Throughout the official investigation, ideas as to what actually happened to Flight 370 spread across the globe. Conspiracy theories pop up on the internet. Entire books are written about the disappearance of the Malaysia Airlines plane. Experts weigh in on what the data said and if it was reliable. What most official reports conclude is that there just isn't enough evidence to come to a definitive conclusion on what happened to Flight 370. However, a lot has happened since the plane disappeared, and there are several theories that have made it to 2023 that could shed some light on this mystery. There are still a lot of missing facts, but sometimes it's the lack of facts that can be one of the strongest pieces of evidence in a case.
Okay, so real quick, I do need to make sure I make a note of this here. So, Ghostery Anonymous says, didn't a ham radio operator say that he found MH370 down location? I have not heard this, and I think that if it had any weight to it, if it was true at all, I would imagine that that would have garnered some sort of wide media attention. That's just kind of my thought process on it. But, you know, is what it is.
case. Let's go down the rabbit hole and examine some of the leading theories of 2023 as to what actually happened to Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. There's one thing that time has helped with in the case of Flight 370. When news first emerged about the mysterious circumstances under which the aircraft disappeared, there were conspiracies galore. The internet was flooded with theories of alien abduction, sabotage, and military intervention. There was even some discussion and doctored footage of Flight 370 ending up in the Bermuda Triangle. And even though these theories might seem harmless, the last one included a video and a website that allowed hackers to steal people's money and identities. So this particular conspiracy ended up being very harmful. However, now that it is 2023, some of the more outlandish theories have died away. People who are still serious about finding the aircraft and bringing closure to the families and friends of those on board are still hard at work. This has allowed much more convincing and somewhat plausible explanations to emerge. One of the leading theories, and possibly the most plausible with all the information we currently have, is that one of the pilots took control of the plane, disabled all communications, and somehow was able to maintain control without the passengers, flight crew, or his co-pilot getting involved. Let's take a look at why many believe this was the case, and what needed to be done for this individual to be successful. For this theory, most think...
Okay, so here's where we kind of get into speculation, but this is speculation that makes a lot of sense as far as like that this was possibly a hijacking, and it was probably it could have possibly been hijacked by one of the pilots, but again, there's still a lot of unanswered questions there that kind of make you go, is it possible or not? I'm not sure.
Captain Zahari somehow locked his first officer out of the cockpit and turned off the systems that would allow traffic control to identify the plane. He then put on an oxygen mask and depressurized the aircraft at a height of 35,000 feet, resulting in the asphyxiation of everyone else in the plane. In this scenario, whoever was in control of the plane changed its course to fly along the borders of Malaysia and Thailand to stay clear of any military bases that an unidentified aircraft might have triggered a response from. After making it to the ocean, the pilot changed course again to a southwesterly direction and flew into the ocean, where the aircraft would never be found. But why would Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah or First Officer Farik Abdul Hamid do this? Some believe it was to take their own life in a way that would also claim the lives of hundreds of others. Using Occam's razor, which at a basic level states the simplest answer with the least amount of variables is normally the correct one, would suggest that either Zahari or Farik took control of the plane and flew it into the Indian Ocean as being the most likely scenario. This is because it fits the evidence and data without bringing in outside variables. However, when examining the profiles of both men, the theory runs into problems. The official reports state that Captain Zahari had no known history of apathy, anxiety, or irritability. There were no significant changes in his lifestyle, interpersonal conflict, or family stress. So, what would his motivation have been? Investigators also concluded that First Officer Farik's ability and professional approach to work was reported to be good. However, mental health and depression can be complicated. Someone might not always show obvious signs that something is wrong, and a pilot taking his own life by crashing a plane is not unheard of. On March 24, 2015, the co-pilot of Germanwings Flight 9525 from Barcelona to Dusseldorf intentionally crashed his Airbus A320-211 when he was in control of it, killing the 150 people who were on board. In this case, however, the pilot had been showing signs of mental distress and had been declared unfit to work by a doctor. Both pilots of Flight 370 were given clean bills of health, and there were no warning signs to suggest they were mentally unstable. There is some evidence to suggest that Captain Zahari had practiced flying a plane into the Indian Ocean on his home flight simulator, but this is tentative at best and could very likely just have been a coincidence. What almost is certainly true, though, is that there was a person in control of Flight 370 who shut off its communication systems and manually changed the plane's course throughout the morning of March 8, 2014. Other than one of the pilots taking control, then crashing the plane, there are several hijacking theories that could shed some light on the odd events leading up to the disappearance of Flight 370. One possibility for this scenario is that either one or both of the pilots decided to hijack the plane and hold it for ransom. However, when they tried to land the craft, something went wrong. You can already see all the holes in this theory, such as no one radioed flight control or contacted Malaysia Airlines to ask for a ransom. Also, investigators determined neither of the pilots were under any financial stress or showed any changes in their behavior. And when they went over the voice recordings and conversations of the men, it was determined both pilots showed no evidence of anxiety or stress. One conclusion that came out of the investigators' report was that it's not possible to deactivate automatic deployment of the masks from the cockpit. What this means is that if the plane was hijacked, the people on board would have had ample time to try to take back the aircraft. Yet there is no indication that any type of struggle happened as far as the data is concerned. This might suggest a different type of hijacking, perhaps someone other than the pilots took control of the plane and were responsible for the disappearance of Flight 370. There were 227 passengers and 10 cabin crew aboard Flight 370. Could one of them somehow manage to take control of the plane? This seems highly unlikely, as any individual or group of bad actors would have had to somehow bypass all of the precautions and safety features implemented on major aircraft after 9/11, such as the internal locking of a cockpit door. Then there's the fact that there would have to have been hundreds of other passengers they would have to somehow subdue. Some of the people point the finger at the two Iranian men traveling on Flight 370 with stolen Italian and Australian passports as being the culprits. But upon further investigation, it was determined that these men were illegal migrants and not terrorists. Then there's the cabin crew, but again, this all seems improbable as all of them were married with families and wouldn't have had the technical expertise to turn off all the communication systems and then pilot the plane. This leads us to a more fantastical theory around hijacking, but one that could explain the erratic flight path of Flight 370. Some suggest that perhaps there was a stowaway or multiple stowaways aboard the aircraft. Supposedly, there was an underfloor area just outside the cockpit door that someone could hide in. This would mean the perpetrator needed to sneak aboard the plane before the crew got there and hide until the plane was in the air. Interestingly, from this location, it would have been possible to turn off the transponder, which we know happened. Perhaps a disgruntled employee held a long-lasting deadly grudge against Malaysia Airlines and wanted to hold the plane for ransom or just cause some chaos. But the same inconsistencies as one of the pilots hijacking the plane for ransom arises with this scenario as well. But what if more than one stowaway or a heavily armed individual somehow managed to sneak aboard the plane? What if there was a larger and more sinister plan in place? Flight 370 being seized by terrorists is normally discredited as no organization came forward and claimed responsibility. But what if the hijacking of Flight 370 wasn't an act of terror, but one of misdirection? At the same time Flight 370 disappeared, Russia was busy annexing Crimea. Many major powers were threatening sanctions and actions against Russia during this time, and the world seemed to be rallying against Putin's decision to steal Crimea from Ukraine. However, when the news broke about the mysterious disappearance of Flight 370, the public outrage around Russia annexing Crimea died down a little bit. News cycles were now covering the search for the missing plane 24/7, and aviation experts instead of military experts were the ones being interviewed. Some have hypothesized that a covert mission either by Russian agents or hired mercenaries was carried out to seize Flight 370 and create a narrative that would distract the rest of the world from what was happening in Crimea at the time. Some have even suggested that the SATCOM aboard the plane was tampered with, and instead of the plane flying into the Indian Ocean, it was piloted along the northwestern arc and landed somewhere in Kazakhstan. Proponents of this theory claim that the plane in fact had never been found in the Indian Ocean because it's not actually there. But let's be very clear, the oceans are massive. Over 80% of the ocean has never been mapped, explored, or even seen by humans. If we strip away all the more extreme theories and stick with what we know in 2023, the most likely scenario is that one of the pilots of Flight 370 took control of the plane and flew it into the Indian Ocean, where the aircraft broke up and sank to the depths of the sea. Finding the fuselage of the plane would be like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Until we have more evidence or something more tangible to go off, what actually happened aboard Flight 370 will remain a mystery. Many believe the search to locate the remains of the aircraft should continue, to offer some closure to those who lost someone in the tragedy. However, as of right now, no one is seriously looking for the missing Boeing 777, except dedicated researchers who have devoted their lives to figuring out the truth about Flight 370. Now watch Weirdest Unsolved Mysteries, or check out Kid's School Bus Mysteriously Disappears.
Okay, so that is like the history behind MH370 from 2014 to present, and all the theories that we kind of have based on the empirical evidence. So, like I said, that's everything that we have right now, and the best speculations that we have based on the actual evidence, the actual data regarding this case. So, leaves a lot of questions, I know. Now, this seems like kind of an odd thing to be bringing up on this stream, Edge of Reality, because usually we're interested in mysteries and that kind of thing that, just kind of defy explanation. Well, I mean, you would definitely be right on that one, so I am waiting for something on here. Let's see. There it is. Okay. Okay. Awesome. Thank you for that, Rose. I got it. Now I'm going to try to play this. I mean, it is from 60 Minutes. I'm going to try and change things up just a little bit. I mean, and see if we can make this work. But yeah, honestly, being from 60 Minutes, that could potentially cause some problems. Let's see here. All right. I think it's at least worth watching. So this was actually, so this is kind of a video from 60 Minutes about the kind of what I think was, Ghost Street was mentioned earlier about the Australia cover, the ham radio operator guy. So thank you to Rose. Definitely awesome that you were able to find this video for us about this particular topic, and that way we can kind of go through it, parse it out, see what we got here. I had not heard of this particular theory before, but yeah. All right, let's go. I'm hoping that this does not get this yeeted. I mean, I'm trying to use this under fair use. I've kind of made some alterations. We'll pause as we need to go, be transformative, all the usual stuff. But, YouTube is what it is. So please, again, definitely have that Rumble stream, link in the background just in case.
Is the biggest aviation mystery of all time, the disappearance of Malaysian Airlines flight MH370, about to be solved? Well, yes, if you believe the man you're about to meet. Richard Godfrey is no crackpot. He's a respected British aerospace engineer and physicist who says he's found the doomed airliner. If he's right, he'll provide desperately needed answers for the families of the 239 passengers and crew who were aboard the Boeing 777 when it vanished 8 years ago. But knowing where it is isn't the end of the story. Richard also has to convince authorities to resume the search that's already cost hundreds of millions of dollars.
All right, so yeah, this has already been a situation that has cost a lot of money and has not really yielded a whole lot of results there. I mean, one guy randomly finding some debris on a beach has provided more closure at this point than really a lot of the rest of these things in different searches and all the man hours put into trying to find this plane. Even with all the best information that we have, it's still a hard thing to find such a small object in such a very large, foreboding, and hard to get to place.
At any hour of the day or night, thousands of amateur radio operators around the world, enthusiasts like Matthew Ayres, are talking to each other.
QRZ VK2 Bravo Alpha Lee calling.
Their conversations crisscross the globe in a tangle of invisible radio waves.
Often there's a lot of background noise, so you have to find the signal from the noise.
It might seem too incredible to be true, but one man is now convinced these random ham radio signals have solved the 8-year-long mystery of the disappearance of Malaysian Airlines flight MH370. So, Richard, you believe you know exactly where MH370 is?
That's correct, yes.
So from the moment MH370 took off, you have been able to track its every movement?
Yeah, from takeoff right to the end.
It's...
Ghost Free Anonymous says, I'm so glad that Rose found my 60 Minutes source. I didn't know that you might have wanted to view it. Yes, actually, Ghost Free, if you ever run into a situation where you find an interesting source or you have a, strange story that you'd ever like us to kind of look into and cover on The Edge of Reality, definitely go up there and check that pinned comment, because you'll find access to my Discord server. And you can always go down there to the the unexplained tab in there. You can drop stories, links, and also if you happen to know something about a particular story that we're covering, feel free to drop a link and say, hey, I got something pretty interesting that you guys might want to look into. Who knows? I might actually view it and check it out and research it while on stream. Always a thing. And let's see, AP says, like finding a smooth pebble in a rock quarry. Yeah, that's about how hard this is. And hey, Madcore, so they found it. This guy has shown them. Well, that's what he's alleging.
an enormous claim, but Richard Godfrey has little doubt. In fact, the retired British aerospace engineer and physicist is so sure about the final location of the Boeing 777, he wants immediate action.
In my view, there's no reason why we shouldn't be preparing a new search and planning for that.
So if we were to send a search party out there now, they'd be able to find it?
It will only take one more search and we will find it.
Among all the aviation experts working on the MH370 case, Richard Godfrey is the first and only one to investigate the signals of the ham radio operators on the night the aircraft went missing, the 8th of March 2014. The breakthrough came when he discovered the distinct disturbances the plane made to radio waves when it flew through them. With that information, not only was Richard able to identify MH370, he could also track its precise flight path into the Indian Ocean.
I'm looking to try and detect anomalies in the signals reflected back from an aircraft. You can follow that data and you can see where an aircraft may have disturbed the radio signals, and you can pick up those disturbances.
Have these radio enthusiasts across the globe inadvertently helped you find MH370? Have they helped locate the missing wreckage?
Indeed, they have.
Not surprisingly, when news of Richard's research was first made public, there was scepticism, but also hope, especially for people like Danica Weeks.
Let's join the dots. If this isn't worth another search, then I don't know what is.
Danica's husband, Paul, was one of the 239 passengers and crew on MH370.
Still back at that day. It's just been such a long time with no closure, no answers.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, all these unknowns that have been plaguing your life for 8 years now, does it keep you up at night still?
There's not a day I don't think about it. Look, I promised Paulie I'd bring him home. I haven't fulfilled
I
that
have to
promise
agree.
yet. Feels just so haunting to be here.
For the past 8 years, Danica Weeks has bravely taken on a role she never wanted, an advocate for the families who lost loved ones. Over that time, her search for help and answers has never wavered, even arranging an audience 3 years ago.
This is Danica Weeks.
With the then Malaysian Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad.
We intend to continue for as long as there is hope.
I left there thinking that, yes, we've made a mark here. We are going to get the steps that we need and they're going to take action. And then it was deathly silent. And it was all just talk.
I mean,
So yeah. Ghost Free says ham radio guys are very precise in their evaluations. Yes. I have a good friend of mine. His dad is a ham radio guy, and he is a very smart guy. Has done a lot of like research work. I mean, brilliant guy. Yeah. These guys don't mess around. General says Discord link doesn't work unless I'm boomering it. Okay. I thought I fixed it. Let me do this. Let me see if I can fix that link real quick. It's super easy, so all right. See, unfortunately, my Discord server is a level 1 server, so I don't have a permalink or anything like that yet. That kind of comes with a long time down the road, if that ever happens. Okay. Okay. Refresh the link there on whenever you try and click on it, refresh it, and that should clear it up. You should be able to get into the Discord then.
the ocean's carrying a lot of secrets.
Oh, it is. It's incredible that, this long on, we still don't know where they are.
Now, though, for the first time in a long time, Richard Godfrey has given Danica a renewed sense of hope.
I've done my research on it, and it looks so promising. When I get goosebumps because I feel this is it.
Richard's work in identifying MH370, using the disturbances in the signals of the ham radio operators communicating with each other on the night the plane disappeared, meant he was able to track where it was flying. And he's confident in his analysis, because the flight path he came up with mirrored the already known satellite tracking of MH370. However, there was one difference. Richard's data produced much more precise detail about the plane's route into the Indian Ocean.
I mean, this is quite extraordinary. So these dots that we're seeing on this flight path here represent the signals that are being sent every 2 minutes.
That's right. There are in total 160 of these detections. So they've been disturbed by an aircraft, in this case, MH370.
How can you be so sure that it was a plane, that it was MH370 that disturbed these radio frequencies?
It's very easy because out in the middle of the Indian Ocean, there was just one other aircraft in several hours that passed, and that passed an hour's flying time away from MH370. So it's very easy then to discount you're picking up another aircraft and whether you're picking up MH370.
So it can only be a plane that was picked up through this data.
Yeah, it has to be an aircraft at a certain altitude, not picking up ships on the surface of the water or things like that.
So why haven't we found it? Why aren't we looking? And why haven't we provided answers to 239 families?
Well, why haven't we? Begs the question, doesn't it?
Well, that's a question for governments. It's anyone involved in a search feels the same way I do. We need to be out there. We need to be looking, and we need to find it.
That a modern airliner could ever not be found is a frightening thought for most people. For Peter Foley, it simply defies belief. For 4 years, he was in charge of the Australian Transport Safety Bureau's search for the plane, the most expensive in aviation history. Even today, he remains obsessed about locating MH370.
I was once described by my boss as a zealot, and that connotes something that's a bit crazy, but I believe that in a real sense it was a good thing to be for MH370, and I wasn't the only one. I think there was literally hundreds of zealots and people who were pretty desperate to find that aircraft.
Despite the failure to find MH370, Peter is proud of the efforts of his search team. He's also cautiously optimistic about Richard Godfrey's work. work that includes uncovering a very strange detail Godfrey says could explain why MH370 went missing in the first place.
It does seem very strange when you're trying to lose an aircraft in the remotest part of the southern Indian Ocean that you enter a holding pattern for 20 minutes.
That is interesting. So, all right. So AP says because of an object that lands in the water does not just sink straight down. Currents push and pull things all over. So yeah. Thing is, if this thing did actually impact the water, I mean, if following the prevailing theory on this, if this plane flew till it literally ran out of gas and then just plummeted at a high rate of speed into the Indian Ocean, it would have impacted the water and it would have shredded itself to pieces. There wouldn't be a whole lot of it left. And even what was left was probably, again, if it impacts the water at a high rate of speed like that, good chance that a lot of those pieces might float. A lot of those bits might be scattered over a large area. And also, it might take for those a time for those all to sink. It's just the way it is. So trying to find one large intact aircraft is hard enough. Trying to find the debris for a large aircraft that's in pieces, potentially thousands of pieces, infinitely harder. And, oh, excited utterance. Good to see you there. Oh, Murph, 60 minutes isn't great anywhere I expect. Yeah, I know. But, I mean, hey, they're at least trying over there. Yep, AP also says it broke up on impact. It's not a solid fuselage anymore. Exactly. This thing had to have basically run out of gas. And from what we kind of can figure out, probably ran out of gas around 30-odd thousand feet. Probably closer to 39,000 feet. And then just plummeted straight into the ground. Or straight into the water. Just thinking. Rose says, or that is what they're thinking. Kaiser's doing some awesome coverage, and this is looking, and is looking and searching for all info. I'm looking via satellite through Google. Oh, cool. I always appreciate the additional help there. I mean, I always love this. One of the reasons I love doing this is because I get to interact directly with my audience. And if my audience finds some piece of information or something interesting that says, hey, maybe this might add something to the story, they can send it to me. That's why I keep the Discord updated, and it's why I always have links to my Twitter and everything like that and the chat, so that way if anybody finds stuff, they can send it to me and we can kind of parse it out live. We can check it out. Say, this is why I love doing this, because I can interact directly with you guys, my audience. And I love you all. And I appreciate every single one of you for sticking around and watching with me. It is huge to me. Just FYI.
When Malaysian Airlines flight MH370 with 239 people on board vanished in the southern Indian Ocean 8 years ago, Peter Foley was put in charge of finding it. The Australian Transport Safety Bureau operations chief failed, but not for want of trying. 4 years ago, the $200 million search was called off, a decision the now retired Peter says was plain wrong.
There's no one looking, and no one has had a look since 2018. There's absolutely no reason why we're still sitting on our hands waiting for some credible new information leading to a specific location. There's absolutely no reason why that aircraft couldn't be found.
Peter's search for MH370 was exhaustive. 2,000 kilometres west of Perth, it covered an enormous 120,000 square kilometres of the southern Indian Ocean, but without luck. Now, aerospace engineer Richard Godfrey thinks he can narrow the search to a much smaller area, a mere 300 square kilometres. It includes some area that's already been looked at, as well as virgin seabed never before probed.
Why would a search be any different this time? Why would we turn something up this time?
With this very difficult terrain, it is possible to miss wreckage. When you're going through 120,000 square kilometers, you get one chance, one pass of each point. With 300 square kilometers, you can afford in just a couple of weeks to go several passes from different angles.
So it's possible the plane may have been missed in previous searches in an area like this?
It's possible. Having said that,
Peter Foley, who now knows the Southern Indian Ocean better than anyone, says Richard Godfrey's work needs more scrutiny, but it should certainly be taken seriously.
Would that be a place to start? Richard's finding of 300 square kilometres?
it was searched. I will point out that lots of his area was searched by the ATSB back in 2014-15, and wide of that area was searched also by Ocean Infinity, his point, but not all of it.
So there is still a window, potentially.
There's a small window, yeah.
Is there any merit to Richard's work?
I think there's certainly merit in exploring new avenues. I think the jury's still out as far as Richard's work's concerned, and let's hope that he's onto something.
If Richard Godfrey is onto something, his tracking of MH370's flight path not only pinpoints where the plane ended its journey, it also reveals an extraordinary quirk much earlier in the flight.
Everyone has assumed up until now that there was a straight path, perhaps even on autopilot, perhaps even a ghost flight. I think there was an active pilot for the whole flight, and it certainly wasn't a straight line.
One theory about why the plane disappeared was that the Malaysian pilot, Captain Zahari Ahmed Shah, had hijacked it in an act of political activism. And it's a theory now given more weight by Richard's more detailed flight path. 3 hours into its journey, MH370 enters an oval-shaped holding pattern for 20 minutes.
That is odd.
This point here is where the holding pattern takes place, which is strange to me when you're trying to lose an aircraft in the remotest part of the Southern Indian Ocean, that you enter a holding pattern for 20 minutes.
What do you think was happening in that time? Do you think that's when he may have been communicating with the Malaysian government?
He may have been communicating with the Malaysian government. He may have been checking whether he was being followed. He may have just simply wanted time to make up his mind where I go from here. I hope that if there was any contact with authorities in Malaysia, that after 8 years now, they would be willing to divulge that.
That someone, Captain Zahari most likely, killed all the passengers and deliberately flew MH370 into the middle of nowhere has long been debated. When the plane first went missing, Peter Foley and the ATSB discounted the theory. But time has changed Peter's view.
So, something to kind of make a little bit of a notice on there. Let's see. That, just to kind of make a note of this here. So, essentially what they're saying is that if they do believe that this guy, if he did kill everybody on the plane, or take out the people on the flight, how would he do it? Well, it's actually quite simple. And they mentioned it in the infographics video. So essentially what he would do then is essentially go ahead and don an oxygen mask and then depressurize the plane. All the air in the plane would go out. The oxygen masks only have a finite amount of oxygen that they can actually give. And the ones that are actually for the pilot and co-pilot in the front of the plane are actually bigger and are able to be operated longer than the passengers. That's actually that's actually a feature, not a bug. So, yeah, you have a situation here where this guy could have depressurized the plane. All the passengers are then dead from basically asphyxiation and freezing temperatures, and then suddenly repressurize, if that's even possible at that point in the flight, and then go ahead and actually continue on his way. So there's a lot of questions on that one, but yeah. It does kind of make you wonder there. And hey, what's up, Levy? Good to see you popping in there. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Ghostery says, thanks, Rose. My goal is to provide reliable sources which are easy to locate and thus evaluate. I appreciate you providing the link to Kaiser. Well, good thing there. Say, Rose is awesome. Rose and Valhalla are my mods for this channel, and both of them are fantastic. I say Rose works her ass off for this channel, and I cannot thank her enough for the hard work she does. So please, everybody, definitely show Rose a little bit of love for me. Say it's highly appreciated. And Rose actually says, yeah, this is an aero engineer who can literally trace a plane via airwaves. I thought this was very cool. Yep. AP says, no reason the plane can't be found. It took 73 years to find the Titanic. You can't have the exact spot on the globe pinpointed, but ocean makes that pinpoint location non-existent. Yes, there's something to that, yeah. Rose says, Titanic is how far down? I forget. If I remember correctly, the Titanic is at a depth of around 1,800 meters, which I believe translates to a little over 2 miles deep. So, yeah, it's way down there. And that's not even the deepest part of the ocean, too, because, yeah, there are areas of the Indian Ocean they mentioned that are upwards of 5,000 meters deep. Yeah. Oh, Ghostry says 3,000 meters below the surface. Okay, thank you so much, Ghostry. I remember. I'm thinking. Okay, you know what? I remember where I got the 1,800 meters. That was the crush depth for the alleged crush depth for the Ocean Gate Titan. My apologies on that one. Yeah, AP says asphyxiate the cabin. Pilots have a small scuba tank of oxygen. Lasts for a while. Exactamundo. Digger says Rose is the Uber mod. Yes. And let's see. Yep, 2.35-ish miles in the Atlantic for that. There we go. Oh, you're welcome, Rose. Thank you so much for what you do.
So you think it's possible that the plane was piloted by an active captain?
Well, it's possible that the plane was piloted at the end, but we don't know for certain, and we won't know until we find that debris. We have to find the debris to know precisely what happened on board that aircraft.
It's the most likely scenario, isn't it?
Yeah, by a wide margin.
Mass murder-suicide.
Well, if you put it like that, yes. Yes.
It's chilling.
It's horrifying.
Desperation, more than anything else, might be driving Danica Weeks. But after 8 years of waiting, and with Richard Godfrey's help, she thinks she's finally close to finding out what happened to her husband, Paul, on flight MH370.
I believe Richard Godfrey's findings are solid. And so why wouldn't they search? If they don't search, then I'd be wondering why not. Because this is it. I feel this is it.
You're that hopeful?
Absolutely. This is like the golden goose, I believe.
In the years since the plane vanished, Danica and her 2 boys, 11-year-old Lincoln and 8-year-old Jack, have had to live their lives. It hasn't been easy, but for Danica, meeting and then 2 years ago marrying John has brought comfort and joy. The memory of Paul is always present though.
He sat me down one day and he said, if Paulie walks through that front door, I'll walk out the back door. And I knew then that he got it.
Takes a lot of strength to say something like that, John.
That's true. It's hard to be that guy sometimes. Believe me, it is. It's hard. But there's days that you sort of wake up and go, well, is today going to be the day, or what's it going to be like for Dan and the boys today?
Together we want that closure that we so very much deserve.
It's heartbreaking.
From his home in Frankfurt, Germany, Richard Godfrey has sent his research to the Malaysian government. As the owner of Malaysian Airlines, it's the only authority that can approve a resumption of the search for the plane wreckage.
By accident.
They say they're aware of Godfrey's work and they're waiting for more information.
They're very polite and thank me for that. They say they're very busy, but...
I can't imagine they'd be too busy to find a plane with 239 people on board that's been missing now for 8 years. You would have thought that'd be their #1 priority.
Yeah, this is very important. However, if it turns out, for example, that the airline or the pilot was in any way responsible, then they might be faced with multi-million-dollar claims. So maybe they would prefer that this just quietly went away.
But Peter Foley's former employer, the Australian Transport Safety Bureau, is paying enormous attention to Richard Godfrey's research. In fact, it's so compelled, the Bureau has commissioned an independent review of its own data to assess if anything was missed in the original search. Other global experts are peer reviewing Richard's work, with their results expected shortly. If there are enough positive reviews, it's hoped the ATSB will lobby the Malaysian government to reopen the search. What does the willingness of the ATSB to revisit some old data tell you?
It tells us that there's people in the Bureau who are still dead keen to find that aircraft.
And they should be, right?
Absolutely, because they're people who, like me, want to have answers for families. 239 families are still, 8 years later, sitting out there with no answers. And that was the promise that I made. I promised as an individual I'd do anything I could to bring those people home. And yeah, I think about it every day.
Until now, no one's been able to crack aviation's greatest mystery. But Richard Godfrey is so certain he's right, he'd be prepared to bet money on it.
If I had a couple of million to spare, I'd be wanting to go out into the Indian Ocean tomorrow and look for it.
So you're that convinced?
I'm sure this mystery will be solved, and hopefully it'll be solved later this year.
Hello, I'm Sarah Arbo. Thanks for watching.
All right. And that is the update on the ham radio operator with regard to MH370. And that was actually one that I hadn't heard of yet. So, yeah, definitely a huge, huge kudos there to Ghostery for, letting me know about that one. And then also a big shout out to Rose for finding that clip and sending that my way. I think that adds a lot to what we're talking about here. So that's actually very good. So, I mean, we're at an hour and a half into this stream. We've just finished laying the groundwork for what we're actually going to be talking about today. Because, see, here's the thing. With Edge of Reality, sometimes I come at you guys with an interesting mystery. Sometimes it's a real world mystery. Sometimes they're just all kinds of crazy and weird and whatnot. This one's a mix of both, because what we have to show you what's been going on, this is wild. Because all I can say is that I did not expect that this was going to come up this week, and now it's everywhere. There we go. All right. Oop. Kicked yourself. Oh, okay. What did I do now? Whoopsie daisy. All right. So here's where we're going here. So again, kind of a real quick little bit of a midstream. No, I didn't boot myself. I don't know what's going on. I got my YouTube feed up over here. Looks like I'm still live. Rumble's still live. Huh. Okay. I'm being informed that I booted myself for something. Okay. Well, apparently everything still appears to be working, so we'll just kind of go with that. All right. So, with that being the case, real quick, let's go ahead and what is going on? Huh? Says I got booted? Okay, y'all. I'm checking myself live on my phone here as well. Okay, what is going on? Sorry, hang on. I gotta address this here. Yeah, I'm like, wait, what? Yeah. Okay, good. It's not just me. Yeah, okay. Looks like everything's fine. I saw something, somebody was texting me that I got booted and everything was, yeah, not live anymore. I'm like, wait, what? I like I know I'm still live. I can see myself I've got my YouTube and my Rumble over here. I could pull it up on my phone and I'm still showing live. I'm like, as far as I know, everything still works. Okay. Brain. I don't know. It's me. I got confused. Squirrel. Anyway. Anywho. Da, 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 da. Okay, y'all. Okay, seriously, can everybody see me right now? Is everything okay? Because I'm like really freaking out here because everything is not everything says that I'm still live. Everything says that I'm still okay. So is everybody still seeing me and hearing me? Okay, thank you, Murph. Okay. Okay, Ghostery, Jenny B, Jude Curio. Okay. All right. I don't know why, but just, yeah, everybody. It's like it looked like everybody was trying to say that something happened or whatnot. I was like, what is going on? Okay. I'm fine, Bobby. I'm fine, God. Anyway. Following has been closed caption for the reality impaired. Anyway. So, here's where we're going to get to the weirdest part of this whole story. And that is we're going to go to none other than Twitter. Or X, or whatever you call it this week. So, as some of you may be able to notice here, where'd it go? Wouldn't it just be my luck that now, of all the times, yeah, it fell off the trending. God, bullshit. So, I've been seeing how it's been trending on Twitter pretty much all week this week that MH370 has been trending for several days now. And that's been a little bit odd for me. I remember actually first seeing it and I was like, wait, why is MH370 trending right now? So yeah. Digging into a lot of the stories here. Here's where things get really weird. Yeah. Aliens, teehee. Yeah. Yeah, this is where things go down the really odd rabbit hole. And it's just a mess. Whoops. Hang on, messing with my camera again. Okay. Yeah, at this point we're on Twitter, so I'm not really all that worried about. I'm more worried about making sure that you all can see what I'm seeing. Okay, close enough. Anywho, so this is the view currently from some of the articles that I bookmarked and pulled up on Twitter. So this one, breaking MH370, strong evidence. Is like extremely strong evidence that the plane we see in these videos is in fact MH370. The coordinates from the satellite video give it a possible location in the South Indian Ocean and tell us they're taken by NROL-22. The WSPR data puts the plane passing directly through the southern assumed position. The WSPR data, while was not made available until December 31st, 2021, over 7 years later. Before that, all we had was the Inmarsat pings, which only tell us the distance to the satellite and thus arcs. We presume it could be every hour, not specific location. A hoaxer could not possibly know how to detail in the exact later known position of MH370 while it was flying rogue in the middle of the southern Indian Ocean. Further proof is that further proof is this news recording, April 6th, 3 weeks after the video was first posted, date back to, which mentions new data revealing that the plane turned around the coast of Indonesia, but not exact positioning, and another report done in 2014 that again only shows the ranges, not specific route. So here's kind of the things that they're talking about here. So unfortunately, they don't really show exactly what these are. But yeah, so we're talking about like satellite location pings, where it made the turn. And then this is the where it was making the flight actual position marked on the white dot. Ground speed 476.4 knots. Track IB 180 degrees. Right, that's hard to read. Altitude 36,000 feet. Position marked with a colored dot. The plane route marked with gray 2-minute markers. Okay. So that's kind of where they're thinking that. Again, really hard to actually see anything from this. Okay. Last ground initiated ping exchange with aircraft, the 6th handshake. So this was kind of where so the position right here of the satellite in relation to where it made these pings with the aircraft, supposedly. All right. So that was kind of the first thing that I saw. I'm like, wait a minute, what is this? Then there was something very odd that caught my eye in another post. So I'm trying to pull that up here. So here's this one. This one just kind of made me go, wait, what did I just watch? All right, satellite video. This is supposedly satellite video of an airliner and UFOs? What? Okay, first of all, as far as I know, satellites do not have the resolution or the capability of just watching these aircraft like that, from orbit that I'm aware of. Now, obviously, I'm not an expert in satellite communications or anything like that, so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, but I'll be completely honest with you. As far as I know, this is not possible. Again, as far as I know. But then there's just other questions I have about this video. And if it shows buffering, that's actually something that's in the video. And there you saw the first little dot is, there are these dots that just start circling around the aircraft as it's making a turn. There's one, and now there's two, there's three, and they're doing this elliptical pattern around the aircraft. That's not me, that's the video that's showing the buffering. And then it goes following the aircraft, comes into frame. Yeah. I don't know why they couldn't just make a video version of this video that didn't have that. As they're watching the plane again, these things are just going around it. And then boop. Now, did you catch that? Let's back it up. Boop. So the aircraft there, you see it, then you don't. Okay. What the freaking hell is that? I have very serious questions. What the F was that? Yeah, that just brings up all kinds of questions there. Well, that's not well, that's not effing freaky. Instagibbed. There we go. Yeah. That's a bit of an odd thing to see there. Oh, don't worry. There's more things that make you go, wait, what? Curio, what the F was that? Oh, don't worry. There's more. So here's another video. I'm gonna grab it over here. This one is apparently a little bit higher resolution, a little more cropped in. According to the poster on the person that posted this on on Twitter, alleges that this is MH370. Again, they allege that this is MH370. I'm not saying that. I want to be definitively clear. Near as I can tell, I have a lot of questions about this video. And then, yeah, we're just going to watch this thing. These things are just flying around it. Whoop. And it's gone. I'm sorry, what? Now, it gets even weirder here because somebody decided to go ahead and take some additional video. Now, I apologize if somebody added some background music over it, so just kind of take that with a grain of salt. But apparently this is the same footage, allegedly. Now, it is interesting here is that you do notice that around these lights that are spinning around the craft, there's a darker contrail of something following them. Really zoomed in there, thermal. Aha. Rose says either shot down or entered a time warp. Questions, questions, questions. Yeah, provenance is the key here. Exactly. Bobby Lunar says literally the plot to the very original Prey game. You wonder if somebody might have been the might have actually been a player of that game. So they have another version of this video. This has been stabilized, so it tries to keep the video a little straighter. Now, the only issue is that by keeping it straighter like this, I mean, you're not actually changing the frame. You're just making sure that the subject matter in the frame tries to stay as stationary as possible. Whoop. Now, something that I noticed here, and I'm very curious to note that when I'm watching this, I'm trying to watch these objects, and the way that the sides keep trying to kind of flashing and moving, especially right around this area. Watch this object right here, because it kind of changes, and you notice the way that the light changes on it. It almost as if kind of like light reflecting off of a cuboid or a cube object. This one too. Watch this one as well. This is very interesting. The dramatic light changes, and then it may just be artifacting, but yeah, suddenly it goes square right there, and then this one is also looking very square. Remember how Ryan Graves talked about UAPs that were basically a cube inside of a sphere? Again, I'm not saying that's what this is, but I'm just saying, coincidence? Kind of odd. And I just noticed that, the way that the colors change on this almost looks like there should be some kind, almost looks like there's some kind of definition there, like it's cuboid or something. But yeah, even Bobby agrees there. So yeah, could be compression artifacts, which yeah, I agree with probably there. Probably my eyes just making something of nothing, but yeah. Yeah, showing that there. It's stabilized, it's flying away. And then it's going to disappear about any minute now. Yeah, there's the close-up view. Rip. This is weird because yeah, these things kind of start to go out. They move in. They move in, almost seeming like they're accelerating toward the center. They kind of start to disappear. And then whoop. Whoop a Gangnam Style. Odd. All right. Here's the same couple videos enhanced with synchronization. Huh. Interesting. Say, why is there heat detection only on the bottom of the aircraft? Well, I've got another question here. Allegedly, allegedly, this is MH370. Allegedly, we're told that MH370 had a whole lot of, it kind of dropped off. Nobody knew where it was. And now we're saying now that there's a satellite that was watching this thing be tracked by UFOs. And also, there's now video. Now, I want to make a very interesting note here that you may have not picked up on. Now, you notice that there's two different videos here. You see, this is from allegedly from a satellite looking down on the aircraft. Okay, maybe that's fine, whatever. Allegedly looking down on the aircraft. But also, I have to ask you, if they're looking at if they have a satellite that's looking here and looking at this aircraft, why don't they show where this aircraft that is apparently following this thing at about the same level now? Because now this camera is parallel at about the same altitude and parallel to the aircraft over here. Guys, how many times have we been told that no other aircraft were in the area and nobody knew where this thing was or had any kind of contact with this thing? And yet now we're being told to believe that, oh yeah, there's just apparently a plane with a FLIR camera that happened to be aimed at this thing just at the second that these UFOs appeared, and it just got zapped into whatever. Yep. MH370 was a 777-200ER, which is a super long airplane. I'm not sure this footage compares accurately with the profile. Yes, you picked up on something else that I picked up on when I first started reviewing this footage and seeing all this information come out. The profile of the aircraft does not appear to match a Boeing 777-200ER. Hey, what's going on, Short Order Cook? Awesome to see you. Thank you so much for stopping in. So yeah, to answer your initial question there, why is there heat detection only on the bottom of the aircraft? That's a very valuable question, but it probably, if it was picking up heat, it was probably only just picking up heat off the engines. I mean, that's the best thing I can really think of, but even I would say there's an awful lot of not very much temperature variation on the bottom of that aircraft. Yeah. Bobby says, well then, who the frick is teleporting whom and wheremst? Well, that's a good question. I don't have a frickin' clue. I'm just showing that this is what's been popping up on Twitter. And a huge, huge, huge thank you to a good friend of the channel, a wonderful person, and a all-around man-about talent, Shizzy Wiznut, for throwing me this link to this story, debunking it. Yeah. MH370, why these two videos don't show what happened to the lost plane. Now, there is one video here of a 777 apparently, or some sort of large aircraft in a forest. I think we'll probably get into that one, but yeah, there's apparently some questions there. But yeah, let's talk about this. If you have only a minute, a video seen on TikTok more than 5 million times claims to show the location of the Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 by zooming in on a location on Google Earth. There is in fact a satellite image showing a plane flying over Thailand. Another video on TikTok with over 1.3 million views claims to show MH370 surrounded by 3 spherical objects before disappearing. The origin of the video is unrelated to the flight, however, the graphic analysis indicates that it was edited. Oh, shock of shocks. The Netflix documentary series delving into the disappearances of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 and the tragic fate of its 239 passengers and crew has stirred up a great deal of controversy since its release. Despite garnering widespread attention, the series has come under fire for a number of aviation experts who accuse it of propagating unfounded conspiracy theories. These controversial claims include a suggestion that the flight was hijacked by either American aircraft or Russian operatives, sparking a fierce debate over the accuracy and credibility of the series' content. The documentary release has ignited a debate over what happened to the Boeing 777, prompting many people to begin sharing their theories online. 2 videos claiming to provide evidence of the circumstances of the plane's disappearance have been shared on TikTok. And so, this is talking about the one where apparently on TikTok somebody said they allegedly found MH370 on the ground. I'm not aware of this one, and yeah, apparently this one's been pretty thoroughly debunked. All right. Let me scroll down here. The disappearance of MH370 caused by 3 mysterious orbs. All right, let's get into this one. A video posted to TikTok with 1.5 million views as of March 23rd claims to show exclusive footage documenting the disappearance of Flight 370. It shows thermal camera footage of a plane surrounded by 3 spherical shapes flying around it. After a few seconds, the 3 spheres collide with the aircraft, which instantly disappears. A text read by automated voice comments in the video in French. Netflix releasing a documentary of Flight MH370, but not even showing this video declassified by the FBI. Other TikTok accounts posted another video showing the same scene, but filmed without a thermal camera effect. Let's see if that's still there. Oh, yeah. Okay, we're going to kill the music on that one. So, yeah, this is the other video we just watched. So, yeah. So, yeah. Oh, most excellent there. Say, Rose dropping a link to our good friend Shizzy. Please definitely go over there. Subscribe to Shizzy Wiznut. He is a fantastic guy. He's been doing some really cool work. And actually just has been doing a 2 really interesting series. One on cults and the other actually covering the Federalist Papers. All very fascinating and very informative. Highly recommend. Please definitely go over there. Subscribe to Shizzy Wiznut. He is an awesome dude. And his voice just sounds like hot buttered chocolate. All right. Thank you there. All right. Coaster says, hello, fellow civilians. I'm here casually hanging out with you. Lol, propagating unfounded conspiracy theories because they aren't propagating if we have found anything. Yeah, well, you know. Yep, Shiz is the man. Yeah. So, yeah, we have a lot of questions here. So, this is the debunked videos kind of going there, talking about that. Again, I have a lot of questions regarding it. All right. Again, one thing that they mention here is that a text read by an automated voice comments on the video in French. Quote, Netflix releasing a documentary on Flight MH370, but not even showing this video declassified by the FBI. Okay, now I have a very serious question. What in the frickin' hell does the FBI have to do with something like this? The FBI has nothing to do with that. CIA, maybe. NSA, remote but possible. NRO, yeah. NGA, most definitely. Let's see. Also, C, potentially. Oh, yeah, I don't know. maybe there's, some other 3-letter agency out there that might be interested in this stuff. I mean, this all was going on. Apparently, this happened in 2014, was whenever this incident allegedly took place. So, if that was the case, if this was filmed by somebody in the U.S. government. Oh, yes. Thank you, Jude. NTSB. That was what I was searching for. The NTSB or the FAA. They would have had the information on releasing this. Why wouldn't that come out through there? I want to hear the French. It's just a robot voice. I'm not even going to bother with it. Okay. So. But you can at least see the kind of the subtitle. It reads what is being said there. Video on the internet since 2014 without any mention of flight MH370. These videos are far from recent. They were published on YouTube in May and June of 2014 by the account Regicide Anon, which has since been deleted. The archive of the first video can be seen here, and the other is available here. So, yoink. So this is the Wayback Machine. Yeah, this actually shows, the information. So this is the footage from the debunked video and what's going on there. So yeah. A lot of questions. I'm just going to watch this all the way through because this is the original video that everybody's been talking about over there on Twitter. Something I just noticed when we talked about artifacting earlier. Do you notice anything about these spherical objects and just how they are perfectly spherical in this video? They look a little too perfect for, it's the uncanny valley, as they say. Yeah, right there. They're just too spherical. They almost look generated into the video, and then voop. There's about a minute left of this video. I think it's probably just slowed down footage. Oh yeah, thanks, Rose. Appreciate that. there is that if you do want to make a donation, but I'm not going to talk about it anymore. All right. The UFO theory is passed under everyone's nose globally equals translation of the first few words of the title. Okay, interesting. Yeah, they look like world globes. Yep. Yeah. So we're just watching this video. This is the saved copy on the Wayback Machine of the original YouTube video that was allegedly posted to this account, Regicide Anon, which has since been deleted. Excuse me. Also like how when they saved a copy of this, look at what's on the side panel here. Talking about UFO sightings, the Illuminati, more UFOs, NASA UFOs. There's a lot of your breaking Bob Lazar information. Standard hovering UFOs, icebergs, zoomed in for analysis. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. here. Huh. Okay. Because all this is just saved from whenever this video was saved in the Wayback Machine. It's the Internet Archive. Okay, there's a second one apparently also available here. I believe this is going to be the other video in question. All right, good night, Jude. Thank you so much for showing up. Appreciate you as always, and please definitely have a great night. Thank you so much for showing up. Yep, you can all find link. It's like you can find all the links I'm sharing in Kaiser's link tree pinned above in the blue heart. Awesome. Yep. So again, this is okay. Yep, this is the other video in question. Yep. So this is the one we just initially watched that it gave us all the hubbub of, hey, wait a minute, what's that? This is again another video posted by this person, Regicide Anon, that shows all the usual stuff that we talked about already. And I'm just playing this through in its entirety. I'm not going to pause it. There is no sound, to be honest with you. But yeah, we're watching this for context. Just so that way you guys know, this is the original video that everybody's been seeing all over Twitter. I did not edit this. And we're just watching the original unedited bit of footage. Yep, boop, there it goes. Kind of nice to watch this video and it's not constantly buffering. Real quick, I gotta do something. Yeah. Allergies are getting me. So it's just mostly additional black screen there. Okay. So that is the entirety of that clip. So those are the originals that are being debunked in this article here. In the initial posts, the titles of both videos refer to airliner and UFOs. No mention of flight MH370 is made in the captions of either video. The France 24 Observers team showed the video to several specialists in UFO videos and online hoaxes. All three were familiar with this video and explained some indications that suggest it's a fake. One, likely a graphic creation. Scott Brando, who founded UFO of Interest, which is focused on debunking hoaxes about the UFOs, told us that the video is likely a graphic creation. He even found a version of the video shared on Vimeo in August 2014 by a UFO enthusiast group. The description under the video describes it as what the disappearance of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 may have looked like, made by a video editing enthusiast. Bum, bum, bum. You zoom in there. Okay, it's not going to let me go too far in there. Let me actually just go and do this. Open video, or open a new tab. Share screen. So this kind of gives you all the information there. It is in another language. I apologize, but yeah. So this is, yeah. Somebody saying essentially what the disappearance of MH370 might have looked like if it was UFOs. All right. Night Shorter Cook. Oh, wait. No, it's Libby. Night, Libby. Have a good night. Yo, take care. Thank you so much. And again, Midstream Grift. Definitely go down there. Hit that like button. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure we're providing awesome new content for you. Thought you guys might enjoy this one. This one definitely kind of snuck up on me. So, sorry, my sinuses are getting the better of me tonight. There we go. Disappearance of flight MH370 equals translation. Excellent. Good to have somebody that can actually translate that. Sorry, again. There we go, back. And Rose says, have a very wonderful, calm, productive day tomorrow, Kaiser. Oh, thank you so much there, Rose. Have a good night. Appreciate you coming out there. And say, yeah, tomorrow's going to be a little bit of a rough one on me. My kid is having surgery tomorrow, so I am a little bit on the nervous side, but I'm trying to keep it together. And yeah, you guys are kind of helping me deal with that. All right. There we go. All right. Pascal Fleischner of the collaborative media Maybe Planet told us the video is a poor example of editing that wants to profit off the MH370 tragedy. Quote, the video mentions AWACS, radar planes designed to monitor a large airspace, filming this scene. This is a direct reference to a theory put forward by journalist Florence Deschangy. Editor's note, according to which the Americans deliberately jammed the communications of flight MH370 to prevent its arms shipment to China, but which has been refuted by those with a similar case. Secondly, if this video has been declassified, as the TikTok account claims, it would have been declassified by the Department of Defense or the Pentagon, not by the FBI. The FBI deals with internal U.S. affairs, and if it had been declassified, it would have long since made it rounds in the entire ufology world and the major American media. This is not the case, unquote. So yeah, just in case anybody decides to get a itchy trigger finger about misinformation, this all that we just read here was a quotation. Just making sure y'all know that. Oh, thank you, Rose. We love you and the family. Oh, thank you so much. I hope things are going okay for you. I know you've had some tough times recently too, so I hope that you and yours are okay. Let's say I appreciate you all. You guys are kind of a second family to me. Y'all are amazing. Other incoherent details. Sean Alberg of Hoax Eye also saw the video making the rounds and carried out his own investigation. Quote, I downloaded a high-resolution copy of the first video, alleged satellite footage, with some letters and numbers half visible on the screen. I'm pretty sure that the video maker wanted viewers to believe that the satellite is NROL-33. Based on what I can see from that clip, I checked the letters numbers using a 10 to 20x magnification and went through the footage frame by frame, unquote. So yeah, these are the numbers that they mentioned. And yeah, we saw those earlier. All right. Quote, NROL-33 is a real military satellite, but it was launched on May 22nd, 2014, later than MH370 incident. So if the video maker wanted viewers to believe the footage is from NROL-33 satellite, it can't be true. I can't find any satellite imagery that would match what we see in the first clip. I think no satellite can't take that kind of images of an airplane. Yep. Sorry, the grammar here is a little bit weird. Shortly, I am fairly certain this video was not from any satellite like the original video claims, unquote. Yep. kind of what I was telling you guys earlier, what kind of got my hackles in a raise and made me go, hold up. Despite several indications that the video is fake and edited, it is still circulating in 2023, but according to Hoaxeye, the narratives surround the video have changed too much to give it any credibility. Quote, later copies have edited the clip so you see the mystery coordinates are not visible. I found only one copy where the coordinates can be seen. Later copies don't talk about satellite video, but suggest it's drone footage. That's not plausible either. MQ-1 Predator max altitude is 25,000 feet, much lower than MH370's cruising altitude. Some say video was shot from ground level, which would make more sense because it does look like a viewpoint is at a lower altitude. But then all these later claims are contradicting the original video caption about the satellite video, which is false. It seems people changed the narrative around video 1 because they realized the satellite story can't be true, unquote. All right. So that right there, we've officially debunked the recent mass bunch of stuff that has been just vomited out onto onto Twitter. All of this crap that's been circling on the trending page about MH370. And well, it's MH370 is still a mystery. But it's not hard to see that there's a lot of really, really odd and kind of, let's just call it dumb stuff floating around about this case. People are still trying to make a buck, trying to get a little bit of, get those clicks off of MH370, even all these years after this plane has gone missing, which honestly I think is disgusting. Yeah, people are just trying to, get clicks on it, and they're trying to do it using a tragedy, which I think is absolutely disgusting, and it's not okay. But we've gone through a lot here. I mean, we've spent the first hour and a half of this stream going through the actual data, the actual information behind the crash. What happened? What do we know? What is the definitive answers that we do know? And what are some speculations that actually make sense given the actual evidence that we have, given the information that we've been able to uncover, and actually seem to be fairly credible? That's what we want to do. We want to be fact and evidence-based. We don't want to sit there and just willy-nilly seem to just grab onto anything as it's trending on Twitter. Look, Twitter's a very useful tool, or X, or whatever it's called this week. It's a very useful tool. But yeah, as with any useful tool, especially one for bringing people together and getting people talking about a certain subject, there are always hucksters that will abuse that privilege and will sit there and, always go ahead and try and get clicks for nothing there. All right. Well, folks, it's 2 hours, 15 minutes into the stream. We have officially covered everything I set out to cover tonight. We have absolutely done. I feel really good right now. I feel like we've really covered this subject from end to end, and we have really, really dug into this one. I feel like we can. I mean, this story is still unsolved. This mystery is still unsolved. But I feel like we've done a lot to weed out a lot of the bullshit. And I think that at the end of the day, that's a good thing to do. So, with that being said, I am going to go ahead and close down the stream for the night. So, just kind of give you guys a little bit of a heads up. So here's where we're at for tonight. So with regard to this, as I said, yeah, I my son has got surgery tomorrow, so I'm going to be unavailable pretty much all day. He is going to have to stay overnight at the hospital. I'm going to have to, so one of us, between me and my wife, one of us is going to be staying with him the whole time. And then, yeah. So I will probably be back tomorrow night, but I'm not going to be in any shape to live stream. Probably going to be too tired and too wore out from it all. And so then, yeah, Friday I will be getting up early, going to pick them up and whatnot, and then we're going to be watching the kid throughout the day. I know that I've got some folks coming in to help us watch and whatnot, and then hopefully because he's 2 and he has the he has absolutely zero attention span, and he has he's very quick to bounce back. Hopefully that means that he'll be able to do something. Saturday there is a fly-in pancake breakfast, and I would love to be able to take him over to that. He loved it the last time we went, and yeah, be a lot of fun to just take the family over there, provide a little bit of a distraction. So hopefully that will take care of that. But yeah, it's going to be a bit of an odd, strange weekend. I will probably not be making a whole lot of content from here for the rest of the couple of days. But yeah, I appreciate everybody. And oh yeah, thank you so much, guys. Have a great night, everyone. Thanks for joining. And say prayers for the kiddo and the parents. Oh, thank you so much. And Bobby, thank you so much for saying that. We'll be thinking of about y'all tomorrow. I appreciate that, buddy. So, not telling you guys this stuff to kind of like pull on heartstrings or anything. I'm just saying if I'm not here tomorrow and I'm not here pretty much for the next probably 3 or 4 days, that's why. I'll probably still be around, but I probably just won't do a lot of streams and stuff like that. Say Shorter Cook says all the best for your son's operation tomorrow. Lots of love and prayer to you all. Thank you so much there. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. As I said before, let me go ahead and just say, please, again, definitely go down there, hit that like button. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button. We do Edge of Reality every week, every Wednesday at about 9 p.m. Usually we start between either 8:30 or 9. I think I'm just going to move the time permanently to 9 p.m. And yeah, usually on Thursdays we do Real Talk Live. Obviously, because of extenuating circumstances, there will be no Real Talk Live tomorrow. And I'm going to try to crank out a video or two for y'all to just go live tomorrow. But if nothing pops up on your feed, just know that I tried. But yeah, I am actually getting really tired right now, and I've got to be up early in the morning to get things going. So anyway, thank you all so much. I appreciate you all. Again, there's links are in the links are always in the description, my link tree, all that information if you want to follow my socials on anywhere else. So I mean, always appreciated. We are cruising right on through to get to our goals. Hopefully tonight actually gave us a pretty significant boost in watch hours. I am officially at 570 subscribers. Y'all are kicking ass. I cannot believe how amazing we are growing. Everybody has told me 500 subscribers, you're going to basically hit 500 and then you're going to stall out for a while. And we have just been cruising through it. So I cannot thank you all enough. We are making our way to that magical 1,000 number. But hey, at this point, I'm just going to be happy to finally hit that 400 watch hour, or hit that 3,000 watch hour mark with those remaining 400 watch hours I need, get that monetization, and then we can do some fun stuff. And I'll have to finally make good on my promise to do a 24-hour grift stream once we get that set up. So just saying that's coming. I don't have an exact date or time, but well, we got to hit that magic number first. Anyway, I'm babbling on. I'm just gabbering about stuff now. Again, thank you all. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to everybody that joined for the night. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you all in the next video. Good night. Why do I always hit the wrong one?
Anyway, for reals now. Good night.
You ever wonder why we're here? You ever notice that the information that we're being fed doesn't always add up to the truth? Do you ever look out your window at night when the rain's falling down? You ever look down the street and wonder what is going on around you? You ever look out at night and ask yourself, is this all that I am? Where am I? What am I? Is this all there is? Is this real life? As technology continues to bring us closer together, it also tears us further apart. We watch the skies and look at the planet around us and its natural beauty as it continues to march forward on and on and on, unending, unceasing, unwavering. And yet our world, everything that we've built, crumbles around us. We wonder, is this it? Is there more? There's got to be. We can search. We want to learn. We want to understand. We want to see all that we can see, know all that we can know. We want to look out there. We want to peek behind the veil. We want to ask the questions that nobody will answer. We want to light those fires, the sparks that ignite a curiosity in us. And we ask ourselves, what is out beyond all of that? Beyond